Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. Are you a proud Tesla owner? Well done. Although you did get an exceptional vehicle for the money, you also made a philanthropic act.
And there's an important point about Tesla, which is whenever somebody buys the Tesla Roadster, even though it's a $100,000, $109,000 sports car, and it's kind of a fancy sports car, every penny that Tesla makes goes into development of lower-cost mass-market vehicles.
From the start of the Tesla Roadster, the customers have been funding the research and development for future customers for the Model S. From there, the less expensive Model S paved the way to a more affordable EV for the mass market until Tesla launched a vehicle with a price point at which they can't come close to matching demand. As the Model 3 and Y and even the others keep scaling up, it creates more economies of scale and further improvements in technology. All of Tesla's car sales fund R&D for future better vehicles and technology. Buying a Tesla funds R&D to make an affordable, renewable future. These advances in engineering that come mainly from consumers in developed nations have helped revolutionize the technology enough that Teslas are now also going to be feasible in less better off nations, particularly ones that have bad pollution and suffer from congestion. The entire plan has been to replace as many ICE vehicles as possible, but this is an absolutely gargantuan scale. There's barely enough money in the world for such a project. The supply chains don't exist, nor the manufacturing, and there isn't sufficient technology, so it was going to take a long time. And nearly 2 decades later, here we are, at a stage finally starting to approach the big auto sales numbers. With what would be 2 to 3 million EVs produced next year for Tesla, this puts Tesla's production numbers up with BMW and Mercedes, finally becoming a mainstream selling brand. As these numbers continue to rise, from here on in, they start to get big. And despite all this vertical integration everyone likes to discuss, and that how it will benefit economies of scale so much, well, they haven't even been felt fully. Of course, along with Tesla's latest manufacturing techniques and FSD, resulting in profit margins so much higher than we've ever seen before. Combine that with the additional economies of scale, and we're talking serious profits, which the street has not valued in. Massive, massive profits, insane free cash flow and operating profit. Well, that's a lot of profit for Tesla to keep and not pay dividends. What will they do with all that cash? Buy back shares perhaps? Maybe, but Tesla probably have a better idea of how to spend it. Tesla get exceptional return on investments. What did Ron Barron say once? That Giga Shanghai cost $1 billion and was generating $2 billion a year? That is absolutely insane return. Likely better than Tesla can get, even buying Tesla shares. Then what should Tesla do with all this cash? I mean, some people think it might accumulate to $500 billion by the end of the decade. Wouldn't it be stupid to hold on to that much cash, especially when we could experience more volatile inflation? These currencies could be a little delicate for some time. Of course, Tesla won't just save up the cash. They're going to be investing into more factories and R&D. Except when a factory costs $2 billion fully fit out, and you're profiting more than that every month, well, there are only so many factories you can build. Sure, you can further vertically integrate and start mining companies, but this is a lot of cash. What will Tesla do with it? Now, a lot of people have been concerned that Tesla may stop selling vehicles to consumers and will have to use robotaxis. Now, I find this unlikely. People want to own their own car. It's an extension of their individualism. On top of that, someone who purchases a vehicle from Tesla and pays for FSD, well, believe it or not, they are a lot more valuable customer to Tesla than a robotaxi passenger. But I think it's fairly obvious that Tesla will not be selling a dedicated robotaxi. Now, the Model 3 or Y robotaxis, they have to be funded by someone other than Tesla. Tesla could not afford their own robotaxi fleet, especially if they stopped selling cars. Or Tesla can't afford to currently, but when Tesla is producing a few million vehicles a year, that is a lot of profit, and Tesla could easily fund the production of their own robotaxi fleet. The end product Tesla was looking for was going to be an autonomous, indestructible robobus, as that is what would have had the most impact on the mission. But that was going to cost an absolute fortune, not to mention creating technology for self-driving vehicles, so Tesla had to start somewhere. Tesla needed to find ways of funding the R&D and production. Tesla managed to get their customers to pay them $10,000 or more to fund learning FSD. Just stop and think there for a second just how clever that was. No one else has come close to anything remotely the same. Waymo had to pay drivers to drive around to collect not even a fraction of the amount of data Tesla has. Through this, Tesla has managed to make a self-driving car. Okay, sure, it might not be quite perfect yet, but supposedly as good as an average human driver this year. That is an absolutely astounding achievement, and is only a tiny fraction of the potential that is being priced into the stock. Anyway, you may have thought it was all funding FSD or robotaxis for you, but I think it is funding robobuses for developing nations. All the outrageous profit Tesla have been making and reinvesting into the company, although to be honest, their reinvestments are relatively small. It's absolutely insane the progress Tesla make relative to the amount they spend in R&D. Another reason why Tesla are going to continue to increase their lead ahead of the competition. not to mention the difference in expense Tesla spent on cell factories compared to legacy autos, around 1/10 relative to gigawatt-hour output. I don't think enough people understand that not only are the competition not catching up to Tesla, Tesla is actually increasing their lead ahead further and is about to make several major step change jumps in technology and scaling. All these luxury EVs that we've been buying in developed nations are going to be generating so much profit soon. I mean, so much, an absolute fortune, as you well know. Well, supposedly at the end of 2024, Tesla will be at volume production with their dedicated robotaxi, so perhaps 2.5 years away. I mean, we might expect Tesla could even be at a 5 million a year run rate by that stage. Plenty of reasons for that to be the case. But even anything around there is going to mean absolutely insane cash flow. Right, well with that much cash, it might mean we finally get some dividends. Yay!
So the company doesn't issue any dividends, nor will it ever. My salary is minimum wage. So I'm a volunteer.
No, Tesla will not pay dividends. Tesla always has better ways to spend the money. What if Tesla generating around $10 to $20 billion free cash flow each quarter? Are they going to be building 5 gigafactories a quarter with that? I doubt it. What will this money be used for? Well, Tesla will fund the development of their robotaxis, as in they'll pay and own all their robotaxis. Perhaps these taxis may cost around $50,000 to produce, to be this rugged standard that is likely required. I think the dedicated robotaxi may have upgraded cameras for improved vision to help aid FSD further, and maybe the cameras are positioned higher to see above vehicles better, along with other upgrades. I don't think it's necessary to cheapen out on the vehicle, as after 1 million miles, the cost of the vehicle is almost negligible, not to mention the intrinsic value remaining through recycling. The extra expense can go into utility, making this vehicle more versatile for more applications. Or maybe I'm wrong and it's a lot cheaper. But either way, Tesla should be able to fund around 2 million robotaxis a year without taking on any debt. Of course, this would probably double each year as the vehicle output increases, but so does Tesla's profits to fund the expense, along with robotaxi fares starting to accumulate until robotaxi growth becomes self-funding, which shouldn't take long. But perhaps costs should be spent on configurations for the robobus, perhaps ways of easily adjusting seating for more comfort when times are less busy, and perhaps in rush hour, more passengers are standing, maybe over 20 or so people in each taxi. That could reduce motorcycles or cars by a step change. Or maybe that's not realistic, cramming so many people in one robotaxi. On the other hand, I doubt it would be too dissimilar to a subway. Even developed nations expect to be cramped up at rush hour on the tube or underground. It's just there aren't many other options for most people, so I'm pretty sure that people will be prepared to ride in similar discomfort in a robotaxi when necessary too, especially when it's still that much better than the alternative. On the other hand, governments may want to subsidise the robotaxis or work in with Tesla other ways. If growth was constrained by income, I don't know, governments could maybe get rid of all other transport in parts of the city, at least to start with as tests, and build out in other areas if they were perhaps considering going all in robotaxis, and it replaces parts of public transport. Now, as outstanding as a Cybertruck is, I believe its purpose was actually not to serve as an electric pickup truck. I think its purpose was to fund research and development for 30x cold-rolled stainless steel and the armoured glass. Has it clicked in your head yet? The dedicated robotaxi is going to be a dedicated cyber robobus. It's obviously not going to have a paint job, as it can be easily scratched. Therefore, it will of course have stainless steel, and it will of course be the Cybertruck stainless steel, and it will of course be an exoskeleton. I think you get it now. This taxi will be indestructible. It can survive being hit by a massive mallet and not dent or scratch. There will likely be a protective coat to prevent graffiti too. Then the windows, basically impossible to smash, even if you throw a metal sphere at them. It is the fact we have people in the US willing to pay $100,000 for the Cybertruck that can go into R&D in improving the Cybertruck until it's ready to evolve into a robobus. Perhaps there'll also be a solar roof for the robotaxi, as it will have a much larger area roof than, say, a Model Y. And we've heard rumours that the Cybertruck may have solar panels too. I'm always in awe of this company, but seeing how much of where we are today was envisioned going back 20 years ago is astonishing. Elon has managed to maintain his path, which, looking back, really does seem impossible to have achieved. But by some miracle, Tesla are still very much around today, despite what still gets thrown at the company and CEO. The objective of this plan is that even people in developing nations can have safe, low-cost, clean transport, as there are a lot more of them, and they don't have the money to afford a new EV. Elon has managed to find a way that even the poorest of nations will eventually have this improved form of transport. Of course, the next step will be energy, and eventually we'll see Tesla's LFP Powerwall, which should be low cost enough again for the entire world. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.